team. Good news is Tim's pretty terrible this game, so that's the truth.
Very proud. They played a very sharp, very on top of their game Eclipse today, and really excelled at nailing, unfortunately, 07. When they gave him that little bit of breathing room, he took it.
Welcome everybody back to the Community WGLNA show, and we have a special guest via voice, Zach Ninja Gumby, and as always we have Ted over there, all the way somewhere over there, yeah, all the way on the other side. How you doing today, Ted? How you doing today, Ted?
I'm doing pretty good. I'm excited. We're really lucky to have the one and only Ninja Gumby. He writes the articles for ESL, anything WGLNA related. He also has been. How long have you been on Reddit Tanks for, by the way?
Years, unfortunately.
Yeah.
I'm kidding, but no. Yeah, Reddit Tanks, all that fun stuff.
And you came pretty close to winning Fantasy the last year for the Vegas final, didn't you? If I remember correctly.
Yeah, I was second going into the last final, or the final day, and then I had to risk it to go for the grand prize, and I fell down to third, I think.
Oh, yeah.
Overall.
Yeah, it was Eternity who took it that year, right? Or that spot, right?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah. And the great thing about Zach is he's as passionate or obsessed as Tim and I about the WGLNA, and we're just thrilled to have him here today and get his feedback on the matches on Thursday, as well as the matches coming this Tuesday. So we're going to jump right into the first match that happened on Thursday, which was, it was interesting. You had Valence taking on Rival. I thought this would be much tighter. Tim, we both called it at 5-3 for Valence.
Man, we all thought this was gonna be tighter.
Yeah, I definitely thought this one was going to be tighter. I'm a little disappointed that Rival only pulled off one game, to be honest.
They did. They were missing players. Not everyone showed up, and now we kind of know why. Officially, there's been some roster changes, and one of the ones is Fulcrus didn't play on Thursday, and now we know why, because he's been transferred over to Valence. So that's a big ad for Valence, and I understand why they didn't want to have a guy playing who's going to be going to the team next week and all that other fun stuff. But I thought Valence really did a good job of not giving Rival any time to breathe. And once they got out of, because Mines was the only match that Rival really had any good movement on or any good rotation. After that, it was just all Valence with really strong strats. They Rimberg, there never was any doubt, and Proc. I don't like using the word definitive, but it kind of was. I mean, Proc, it really was. But on the flip side, Rival is what added two players who no one seems to know who they are. In Camp Year 2001 and a Night, between the three of us, we have no clue. They might be players who just renamed. But it's kind of sad to see Rival in the state. And they're 0-4, and they needed to make change. All the best to Fulcrus on Valence. Do you think there's any change possible, Ninja, at this stage?
I mean, with two new players, anything can happen.
Yeah.
We don't really know much about these players, so it's kind of hard to say if it's going to be a good change, bad change, what's going to happen. We're just going to have to see how they play. I would not even say on Tuesday, because if you have two new players in your lineup, you're not going to be at 100% yet.
Absolutely.
But maybe Thursday and the week after, I would look to see some improvement out of them.
We can hope so, because I think a lot of people are big fans of Rival just because of their history. They're a team that's really had slow starts in the first half of seasons previously, last season being the best example. I think there were two clean wins, one overtime win, and a bunch of losses, and they only just barely made it above the regulation last season. So, and then they turned around the second half of the season. They were ridiculous.
Yeah.
They played a much stronger game, and so it's hard to. I still wouldn't count Rival out, but at the same time, and we'll talk about fantasy on the other side of the show here. It's going to be difficult to pick them now.
Well, no,
in the future.
Here's something that's going to be important on Tuesday. They're playing Apex. They have nothing, and I mean nothing to lose, with going all out, trying crazy stuff. No one expects them to beat Apex. I mean, I hate to say
I don't even expect them to really take more than one game off Apex at best, to be honest. But I mean, that's not a slight against Rival right here. I mean, I don't expect many people at all to take a game off Apex.
No.
Only Eclipse, and I mean, as we're going to talk about next, I think
Yeah.
Well, and
that didn't go well either.
no, we're going to cover the fantasy and stuff on the second half of the show. But right now, Rival needs to make changes. They have made changes, so let's hope that it actually hits off. The next match that we saw was Apex versus Aquatic M60s. Aquatic M60s came off a really tight match versus Eclipse that a few points could have gone either way, and Apex just said, "Sit down."
Sit down,
They
son.
just. This is a 5-0 in a team. A lot of folks saw Apex, Eclipse, Aquatic M60s as being the top 3 teams. That has changed. Aquatic M60s got absolutely hammered by Apex. Everything I've seen, if you look at the stats, this wasn't even close. There were 2 aces for Apex in this match. And by aces, I mean they didn't lose a single tank. It's going to be hard to see anyone beating Apex the rest of the season unless they slip. And teams have slipped in the past, but with Wally and the additions, it looks like they're doing really well. And with that, we'll touch more on the fantasy in the second half of the show, but right now we're going to leap right into the next one because that's the match everyone was really talking about. I mean, it was...
Oh, yeah. Yeah, rip my points.
Oh, ripped everyone's points.
Yeah, I had double Eclipse in that match. It didn't go well.
I had double Eclipse, double Deja Vu, man. I feel your pain.
Oof.
It hurt.
Well, at least you had Deja Vu.
I did. That's probably what saved me from what happened later, and we'll get to that later. But man,
it was
wow.
It was really strong play. It could have been at one point, if you've seen the video, check out Chase Potato's video where he just clutched a shot. Master Pupil made a mistake in the last second, was able to be reset pretty much from halfway across the map by Chase. But it turned it from being a 3-2 lead to a 4-1 lead. So that's critically important. Deja Vu has played really well, even in their 5-4 loss versus 07. It was a combination of 07 playing really well and Deja Vu not necessarily playing and having their best day. And people forgot, Deja Vu was second place going into the matches last week.
Yeah, they're second place right now. It's where
they are.
It's then everyone down at the bottom is everybody you would expect to be at the top. Or
yep.
Most
Aggressor had a really strong week. Tim and I talked previously about how he's turned into more of a supportive player than he has been in previous seasons. And not on Thursday. He went back to being the old aggressor of just hammering things with his bat chat and having a ball doing it. Mac Tap Putin had a great match. My Little Putin had a great match. Bird and Fungus didn't have the same sort of match, but his role changed, which I thought was really smart by My Little Putin to kind of swap roles to throw Eclipse off. And Eclipse had nothing. I mean, they struggled. They're a really good team. I think it was a case of they weren't either prepared for Deja Vu or for this level that Deja Vu brought, or they just had a tilt night. Well, I don't know.
I mean, you were just talking about Aggressor there for a minute. I think it's worth noting that he has the highest average damage by 150 in the entire league right now.
Yep.
So, I mean, he's doing an insane amount of damage every game.
And it's things like scoring 50 points in one battle, and you're thinking, well, he's in third place because Milo Putin has in first place. But if you look at him, he's constantly either the top, the second to the top, or got taken out early. There's no middle ground. I think the worst he was in a Sturv, and he still picked up 37.5, and that was in the Battle 4. The Defender Victor, and that was a runaway point where they got to run away. I'm just really impressed by the whole team. Deja Vu really doing a great job. Congrats. This makes me really exciting for the match, which is on the 30th of January, which is Apex versus Deja Vu.
Oh.
That could be interesting, and also a very good measure of how far Deja Vu has come. As far as a team that last year took third, and people thought they were a fluke, thought that Milo Putin being named MVP was a bit surprise to some folks, but he was also the damage leader last season. He's proving that it's not. I mean, he's playing as both a caller and as a player. He's getting a lot of points and doing a lot of damage. But that being said, there was another surprise for a lot of people in the fourth match of the evening, and that was 07 taking on Top Tier.
The game that everybody should have put their fantasy points into.
Yeah. Ninja, how...
I mean, I knew that game was going to be close.
I saw it 5-3, but the other way, and I'm a big fan of 07. I thought Top Tier, with Rude Awakening and everyone else, would have it. The one thing Top Tier proved in this match is don't play them on cliffs. It will end badly for you if you play them on cliffs. Because they had one match that was 1 minute 55 seconds in which everything 07 did, Top Tier knew was coming. It was that effective. They cut them to pieces. I've never seen that definitive of a match in years. And the last time I saw it was when Elevate played Navi on Mervanka, where the first shot was an artillery shot which killed the scout right off the bat. I mean, it's rare you see matches that, and that's a few years ago, to see that decisive.
Yeah, I mean the first.
Funnily enough, when who was it? Oh, 07. The only match they won against Apex on Tuesday was on Cliff Attack.
Yep.
And I think they were setting up something similar to that same attack when I think Top Tiers did their homework and they were ready for exactly what they were doing.
Well, that actually was flipped because Top Tier was on attack when that happened, and that excellent move that 07 did was actually when they were on attack. It's also, having talked to some of the players, 07 doesn't always like cliffs. But then again, they'll train it, especially after what happened. But if you look after that, their level of cleverness, understanding the maps, how well they played on steps. After losing 2 matches and going 3-3, teams could have folded. They didn't fold. They just said, okay, how are we going to play this? Okay, we're going to play it this way. The 7th battle with Ledif and a Sturv 103B, the S-Tank as people call it, he got into a position to cap that was unique because it wasn't in a normal spot. It was a little bit over. He got that thing in siege mode, angled down, and he sat there without a reset for, I want to say, close to 70 seconds. I mean, he wasn't just there for a little bit. And at the end, they rolled on the extra tanks to play bodyguard for him, and it worked as a cap out. It was
he had 100% of the cap points.
Yep.
And,
so he was there
and 129 points period for that match. That was, yeah, that's.
That was a great map, and if you look at the sides, you wouldn't expect them to have won, but it was a smart play, and because at one point they baited over. If you saw the replay that WGLNA put up, they threw a 113 over. Everyone on Top Tier emptied their clips into him. He went down, but they did enough damage to drive them away to set up that cap possibility. So it was a good call. I believe Rockstar called it a bait and switch.
It was
Camador
and then 113.
Yep. And it was just a really good call for that. And it led to the last match, which I was really just kind of an attrition, but it was really smartly called. I mean, Ledif, who I believe is still their caller this season, did a really strong job in understanding what was going on, still running his tank effectively, and Major Issues had probably the best
I don't
match.
think Ledif is the main caller. I think does a little side calling.
Okay. Who's the primary caller? Do you know right now?
I think it's Fosta.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised.
100% sure on that. I know it's not Ledif for sure.
Okay.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Thank you for the information.
I wouldn't be surprised if it's Fosta at all.
No, I wouldn't either, because Fosta has a really strong understanding of the game as well.
Plus, he's always in a light tank or an arty. Those are easier to call in.
Mm-hmm.
And he doesn't quite take Wally level risks in a scout, so sometimes he does hang around, and sometimes he does a lot of damage.
Doesn't do
that light tank.
He doesn't do Wally level driving either.
Well, you mean running into buildings sometimes? Yeah.
Or flipping over?
That.
Flipping his tank.
Yes. He was just offering it to the Swedish
gods. Had that nice
gods.
start to the season.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's gonna be the top 5 reel for the rest of the season.
In the past, there's become moments like when they're 3-3, when 07 doesn't necessarily put the hammer down. They don't accelerate. They seem to be hesitant. They didn't on Thursday. They did as good as they possibly could. They executed some really smart and difficult to execute strats on steps. Steps is pretty massive, and you really have to know what you're doing with it. So congrats to Fosta. Top Tier is going to be back. Top Tier is a really tough team with a lot of vets. Any team with Rude involved, I think, is going to be competitive every night. I think that team as a whole is full of really strong players from Ex-Soldier, Pompous, Zitz, Mir, Lukagracha, Sagira. And if you're wondering who that is, that's Fixer Reloaded. Delth, the whole team is strong. The whole team is really scary. Aghaku, can't forget him. And I look forward to seeing them play the rest of the season. Now, guys, we're moving on because we want to keep the show tight for you guys tonight. And one of the things we wanted to talk about is where's Ute? Where we look at Ute in the standings, and after a night that broke the Fantasy League, Ute went from 30th place to 15th. I don't know how. He got really lucky. And even he will admit that he got lucky. And I moved up 30th position, so I'm happy about that. But my challenge is to try to beat you. We have a friendly bet going on for that. And I told him, "So I'm coming. I'm only 315 spots off of him right now, which is we're still early enough in the season. I'm doing well. And something else we do is Tim takes on somebody from the community and challenges money out of his own pocket to buy them gold if they win. So, Tim, how did you do this week in your challenge?
I just barely beat Racer. I was actually able to have my own latte for once.
There we go. So the funds that he doesn't pay Racer, he actually buys a latte for. So, and how did you do
Actually
this
didn't. I
weekend?
bought gold for myself. I needed
Okay.
new camo on my new T125. So
Well, congratulations on that. How did you do, Ninja, for this week in fantasy?
I think I stayed exactly the same. I might have lost one spot. I'm still back at 75 or 76. Yeah, I'm at 76 right now.
well,
I got a little tossed by the double Eclipse play when Deja Vu
Oh yeah,
got him. Yeah, it was a rough night for fantasy all around.
it was. That's why I'm surprised that you jumped. And for me, what killed me
Who
was
did you play?
Commander J got me 120 points, and that was what kept me where I was rather than advancing. And that being said, let's move on to the matches we'll get to see this coming Tuesday. And what looks to be there's going to be some interesting matches. There's going to be what looks like matches that'll end very quickly. And the first one is Apex versus rival Simple Tankers.
oh hey, like I said,
Yeah.
like I said, Rival's got nothing to lose with this match. They can do crazy stuff. They could pull out an all French lineup and do stuff we've seen before.
Yep.
Are they
It
gonna
should be noted that Apex versus Rival is not being broadcasted. There was a change.
There is a change. Yep. What is the first broadcast match of the evening? Do you know?
Valence versus Deja Vu.
Yep, that's a good one to watch.
So that just changed like today. So
Oh, thank you
or
for the
yesterday.
update. Because right now,
sorry,
fantasy.
inside
No.
info.
No, it's great, and we appreciate this. And this show probably will not drop until Monday night, Tim.
Monday? Yeah, Monday, mate.
So this will probably be available to you guys by then. But thank you very much anyway, Ninja. But would you pick anyone out of this matchup, Tim? Would you pick anyone for Apex or Simple Tankers?
No. Maybe if you needed one person, I'd pick somebody out of Apex, anybody out of Apex, but I doubt it. No, it's gonna end up a 5-1, 5-0. Not because Rival's that bad, but I mean you got a new team, new players, and then you got Apex rolling, and that's a train that's not stopping anytime soon.
Yep. What about you, Ninja? Are you gonna pick anyone out of this match?
I haven't looked and got everything planned out, but I wouldn't unless you're just looking for something with a solid floor. Because if you look at Apex's numbers, their top 4 guys are all about 50 points a match, which
Yep.
at the very worst case is going to give you 250, which isn't awful. And if Rival manages to win one game, which is, not... I mean, getting a 5-0 is harder than it looks.
It is.
So you could count on possibly, a solid 300 points, which isn't the end of the world here.
No.
So if you're unsure about other picks, I don't see a problem with tossing in an Apex guy.
And you got Oxmathis, got Emperor Brett, Dodoma, and Canadian Impact, who all can get you those 50 points. External had a strong night on Thursday, as much as a 5-0 man night can be. But I still think those top 4 are safe picks to get you 250 or possibly 300 or somewhere between 250 and 300. Right now, unless I struggle finding other players, I'm not picking anyone out of this match too. Tim, what do you see the final score being?
I already said 5-1, 5-0. And
What do you think, Ninja?
I'll go 5-1.
All right. I'm going to agree 5-1 is safe. Tim, sorry, I interrupted you. You're going to bring in something else?
Nope.
Okay. Moving on to what will be the opening broadcast match, Valence versus Deja Vu. I think this is going to be an interesting matchup because everyone's now going to assume Deja Vu should be able to beat Valence just based on the records where they stand in the standings right now. But Valence is a strong team with veteran players. I mean, 4 guys from the same team before. We've talked about it in the past. 4 Elevate guys and G-Forcer, Urtai, who's really playing Scout really strongly right now. Static and Zone Delta. 4 really good players to help backbone a team of Viral and other good guys on there as well, who've been doing really well. And the guy who's leading them in points right now, which is Spooky. Because essentially it goes Spooky, Viral, the 4 guys I mentioned, and then everyone else. But it's hard to pick against Deja Vu since they kind of are on a roll right now.
Yeah.
Tim, what's your thought on this match?
It's going to be 5-3, maybe even a 5-4. I mean, we really don't know. Valence could come out of nowhere. The point difference isn't all that much. I mean, if you look at the standings, 07, Top Tier, Eclipse, Valence, Aquatic M60s, they're all within 1 or 2 points of each other. And it's way too early to tell, and it's way too early in the season to tell based on that. But Deja Vu is going ahead. I doubt Valence can beat them, at least yet. But they're gonna put up a hell of a fight, that's for sure.
All right, Ninja, your thoughts on this match? What do you think is going to happen?
I think it's going to be about a 5-2 in favor of Deja Vu. Valence likes to play pretty passively, from what I've seen so far in this season. And I think Deja Vu's strengths are that they're going to be able to go around those passive defenses a lot and make work through. So I think Deja Vu is pretty heavily favored so far in this.
I got to agree with you. Again, another team with some really strong veterans is Deja Vu. With Aggressor and Maktap Putin, I can't say it enough. Maktap Putin did captain a team in the WGLNA final a few years back with #RU. Aggressor has played on more teams than I can count. He's got tons of experience as both a caller and just as a basic player. That experience showed up against Eclipse. If you look at the scores, the one thing from a fantasy side is Deja Vu, with the exception of My Little Putin, seems to be sharing the points. One night, Burden Fungus will have tons of them. The next night, Aggressor steps up. And and sudden Burden Fungus doesn't have all that one. So there seems to be an intelligent rotation on the way that the team's being run. Chase and Shanes are doing a great job with the team. I see it 5-2, and I'm probably going to pick My Little Putin out of this match and probably Spooky out of Valence, because I think those are two solid picks to grab. What do you think, Ninja? Are you going to pick anyone out of this?
I would probably take 2 Deja Vu. As much I like Spooky, I think he's played really well so far this season, but I don't think the wins are going to be there for Valence to take to another guy from Valence. So I would say probably, I don't know yet. My Little Putin, I'd lock him in.
Yep.
And then I would probably go either Maktep, Durgel, or Aggressor. I really don't know yet.
Okay.
Aggressor's lower in the points, but he does so much damage a match right now. But
yeah,
damage doesn't seem to be translating very well into fantasy points this season.
It does to a certain point. I don't understand the math of the fantasy, but if you end up being top damage on a regular basis, plus remember, early on, Aggressor played a much more passive role for Deja Vu. He got taken out early in a couple matches at the beginning of the season, and I think that might have affected his points as well. We forget, guys, these guys sometimes take a while to get up to speed, and I don't think it's ever wrong to pick Aggressor for points. He yelled at me.
Like I said, top damage in the league right now.
Yep. In the past, he's actually sent me Twitter messages telling me how disappointed he was that I didn't pick him, so maybe I have to pick him now. That being said, Tim, who are you going to pick out of this match?
Only one person out of Deja Vu. I mean, as much as I think Valence and Deja Vu can go long, I doubt it doesn't have the same potential as the last 2 matches will. And that's why I'm willing to pick one. My buddy Maktep Putin. And he hasn't disappointed me yet.
No. He's strong he's another 250-point guy even in a 5-0 match.
And
more consistently than
right,
that.
and I know everybody's picking My Little Putin, but on the off chance that something happens and he's not playing, I want to be ahead of that game.
Sure. And
it's never a bad idea to pick different guys, because up in the top, everyone starts to pick the same thing after a month or two, and you got to be different to get ahead.
Consistency is good, but everyone can see consistency. That's the problem. And right now is the time until we get to the halfway point of the season where you can really move up effectively before people start figuring out who's consistent, who's not, who had a strong early season, who's having a weaker past season. But the next match is Top Tier versus Eclipse, and this is still non-broadcast as of right now. Right, Ninja?
Which match?
Top Tier versus Eclipse?
Yes, that is non-broadcast.
Okay.
Those are number 3... or 3, Top Tier is tied for 3 with 07 Gaming, and 4, Eclipse. That's also going to be a potential to go long, but also the potential to just be a stomping.
Yeah, but a stomp by who is the question. We have no idea what's going to happen in this game,
right, yeah.
and that's why I'm afraid to go for it.
It makes sense. You do have Eclipse who came out of their biggest loss in a while. I mean, we're not used to seeing Eclipse go down 5-1, let alone to a team that's not named Apex. Last season they lost 5-3 to Aquatic M60s, but that was at least fairly close. I think you have to go back to their first season when Eclipse really lost, and I think that was only 5-2 to Simp early in the season. Before that, they moved on with that. So are they going to go tilt? There's a lot of questions to be answered by Eclipse. They could come and stomp the Ever Living Daylights out of top tier, but again, with a veteran team like top tier, because they are full of veterans, I can't see Rude, setting up having the team any less than 100% for this match because it's Eclipse.
Well, also remember what happened last week. Same thing. Roster change. What happens in a roster change? Teams not playing 100%.
Yeah. But with that, there's no one really changing for Eclipse or for top tier. I think I'm probably going to at least pick up one or two players. I never think it's wrong to pick up Vetro. I think that's a pretty safe pick. If they go long, it's a great pick. If they don't, top tier has Miro right now is doing awesome. Pompous dropped a bit because I think people are suddenly figuring out how to play against the S tank. I've seen that.
I don't think people are suddenly figuring out how to play against the S tank. They're trying to force the S tank in situations where it just doesn't make sense. Like they're trying to play these odd tanks and just there's no reason to.
Like they were doing last season with the new TVPs. They just throw them. They're throwing them like the spaghetti up against the wall. See what works.
Well, even worse.
I think TVP is more like
it's more useful.
It's a more
and now I'm hungry.
Broad tank.
And now I'm hungry. Damn it.
Well, within their the play, watching Pompous, who's a great player, tons of experience, trying to get a good position in on steps, and he got absolutely dropped to, I want to say, at one point he's at 1% health before he could do anything because of that siege mode ability, and suddenly has to drive, reposition, get set up, and shoot. I think a map like Steps, if you want to go for a TD, you'd probably want one that's a little quicker, and a grill might come back, or maybe the grill would serve that purpose better. But teams are still learning how to use it, and Ninja's 100% right. You want to use a tank that you feel comfortable in, and Pompous has had some massive matches, but on maps like Prokhorovka is where he did really well. Also, once on Himmels, he's racked up tons of points.
Oh yeah,
in that S tank. However, within that, I think the teams are going to figure out the meta in the next couple of weeks, and we're going to see probably less S tanks. Maybe the grill come back a bit more. Seeing the Death Star,
I don't see the grill coming back really.
Really?
I think you're just going to see more mediums.
Okay,
on Steps at least.
Absolutely. Excuse me.
I mean, it's all about mobility.
Plus you have the new Swedish heavy, so there's also that to throw around too.
Yeah, you're going to see Kronwagons, especially on defense, because they can go up, hold down, spot the cap and shoot.
That turret drives me crazy.
Well, they're going to pull a thing that we saw some E5s doing on that eastern side base, is that they'd pop up and get just enough to take shots at the center base or center north base, and then pop back down. With Kronwagen, they don't have the cupola to worry about, even though the E5's cupola has been pretty buffed. I think the Kronwagen will suit that.
Yeah, I mean, the Kronwagen has the best turret in the game.
Yeah,
hands down.
It does. It's nasty, and it's funny because I've been seeing more double RD on Steps. You've seen RD on both sides on Steps now, which I think again is more meta changing. The funny thing is I watched some of the EU matches this week as well as some of the CIS matches, and they're just ignoring RD entirely. Or if they do, it's set to do one specific thing. I'm actually seeing more flexibility out of NA teams and EU teams than I am CIS teams, which I think is interesting right now. But out of this match, like I said, I'm probably going to take Muriel and Vetro. I'm not 100% sure yet. Are you going to take anyone, Ninja?
This one's a tough one. I'm not even sure which way I would go. I mean, I think I would take Vetro because Vetro. And to be safe, I'd probably take one top tier. Like, I'm still not on the Muriel train yet. I know he's scoring lots of points, but he also is getting lucky and has an insane amount of defense and cap points. I mean, he's in the top, yes, I think, let me look really quick. I just pulled up. He has 225 defense points so far this season. So that translates into what, 180 fantasy points?
Yep. Now, if you're looking for someone as a potential dark horse, Delth. He's been playing a lot more matches now. His position's been changing as again, top tier does rotate players to different positions. He's been playing autoloaders. I believe one of the things that in one of the interviews that Rude said is he likes seeing him in an autoloader. Pompous is a TD specialist. That's straight out of Rude's mouth. So if you want to pick him, just understand that the meta may be changing on that. It's not a bad pick, but he went from early massive damage in the first couple games to dropping off pretty substantially. I think Delth might not be a bad pick for people, but
I think Delth's my number one pick on that team right now.
Yep.
And you guys just gave away my
Yes.
secret weapon. I've always been picking
Delth?
Delth on top tier, and yeah, I mean, like you said, Muriel is fine now, but what's going to happen later when everything changes? Delth has been nice and consistent. He was nice and consistent the last times we've seen him play. I mean,
Absolutely. And the funny thing is again, this is a coin flip match because we don't know what happens going to with Eclipse. Top tier is going to be aggressive. I think they see this as an opportunity. No calls, guys. This is just too close to call. But the last match I think is potentially the most interesting match out of all of them, and possibly the closest because Aquatic M60 is playing 07 Gaming. Oh boy, this could be a lot of fun. Aquatic M60 just got hammered by Apex 5-0. 07 Gaming probably had their most important and biggest win so far of the season with that win that we saw. Deja Vu beat the 5-4 is maybe close to that when they beat Deja Vu 5-4, but this was a full 3 points for them. This wasn't a overtime, which they've gone 2 out of the 4 matches of the season so far. So that's well said for them. But I'm probably going to try to load up on this match. I don't know how many players yet, maybe 3. I'm not 100% sure yet. But Tim, what do you think of this match, and who are you looking at picking?
I'm going to go with Aquatic M60s. Currently, they're behind 07 in the standings, but yeah, I mean, I'm picking 2 from Eclipse and 1 from top tier. I'm picking 2 from Aquatic M60s and 1 from 07 and 1 from Deja Vu. I'm basically gambling on who's winning and who's losing here in these gambling matches, but yeah, it could go. Shoot, we've seen stuff that we didn't expect to see the last 4 days. It could end up 5-0 or 5-4 for either way. We really don't know.
If you're new to the WGLNA and you're watching our show for the first time, welcome. We're a community show. We need you as a community. But it's awesome when things that unexpected happen. It shows this is an organic league. Things are constantly changing. Teams you think that are at the top are suddenly losing, and suddenly, like Eclipse last week, as well as it's a strong top team is always fun to watch in Apex, but I don't know if they can make it all the way through the season undefeated. It's almost a safe bet right now, but we never know. We don't know what's going to happen, which makes this a really exciting league. This match with the Aquatic M60s versus 07, that's a tough call. I don't necessarily know what's going to happen. I think 07 is going to win it in a close match, another overtime, 5-4. And the reason I'm saying that is I think 07's a team that once they get the momentum going, they're dangerous. They proved that the second half of last season. They have some changes, but they brought in some strong players. It's going to be interesting. Are you going to pick anyone out of this match? It sounds like you are, Ninja.
Oh, I'm going at least 3. I think it's going to be good. I'm actually favoring 07 slightly in this one. But I'm always biased a little bit towards 07. They're definitely my favorite team to watch.
Yeah, I know the guys. I'm friends with the majority of them. They're a fun team to watch. They're always in there, and they have Meadowhawk. You can't really
can't
not
go wrong
cheer
with,
on Meadowhawk.
Can't go wrong with Meadowhawk.
He's still one of the better interviews when it comes to face-offs. So make sure you tune in for this face-off because it should be good. Maybe Mr. Man's mustache is recovered, and it'll be the mustache versus the suit. We don't know. But I like 07 Gaming. I like Ledif. I think a lot of people are going to like Ledif as well. So if you're looking for someone else to pick, Warbander has been coming on strong lately. Who do you think will be a surprise pick, or do you have any surprise picks, Ninja?
I think the surprise pick here is Major Issues.
Yeah.
The last couple of weeks, he's been coming on strong. And I believe he's played 100% the last couple of weeks, but I'm not positive.
He rotated out for one match with Swipple coming in, and this was Thursday. And
so I'm not sure who's going to play 100% of the time, and I don't think they are either. I think it's map dependent.
I think it is map dependent. I also think we got to see the best of major issues on Thursday. So I think that's a strong sign of what he can do when he's on certain maps because he was awesome on steps. He really was great on steps. I think they switched to Swipple when it came to to Cliffs, and that didn't work out for them. But Swipples is such a veteran player. I can understand why any team wants to have him on. But with major issues coming on this strong, again, it's a case of 07 showing up with somebody that no one really knows about in the past, Vetro being a good example, and suddenly they blow up and do really well. Last season, Static really stood out, did really well for them. And so now you have major issues doing well. I think it's a really strong place for development of players and for players to really find their pace and their legs in the WGLNA. I just wish a few of them would stay around 07 for a while. But
yeah, I mean, I don't think you can pick major issues yet because we're not sure how much he'll play, but he's definitely a guy to keep an eye on.
If you want a Dark Horse pick, if you want to possibly make some major jumps, maybe major issues is for you. But in the end, I
don't think you can pick Camador either because he doesn't play all the time.
No, he doesn't. And again,
really, I think it's Warbander's second pick. Or really, Warbander or Makos.
It's Makos either has a big night or he doesn't have a big night. And again, I think it's positionally related to the strats that they're running. So I think it might be as much as map-based, team-based. So Aquatic M60s has some strong maps. They're going to probably want to pick Cliffs because of Aquatic M60s have won a fair amount on Cliffs. I believe 2 matches. They've done pretty well on Cliffs so far. I'm going by my memory. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I think that Aquatic's always been pretty decent at Cliff.
Yeah, that's been it.
I remember them picking some matches off Apex on Clip last season or the season before.
Yeah, so if that's their home and I'm 07, I'm banning Cliff. Ghost Town has been surprisingly decent for 07, but if I'm Aquatic M60s, I'm banning Steps because that was just too much of a surprise, and who knows what other tricks Fosta has in his bag that he's practiced on Steps. So it's going to be interesting how map bans play out. It's going to be interesting if you hear what happens on maps, and I think they've been running, letting you know on before 5 o'clock. Ninja, do you know if they've been letting people know the map picks early or not?
I think we're working on trying to get that out earlier.
Okay.
Because
I haven't heard anything about that.
Positive.
Okay. If you get a
I don't
chance,
know, that social guy should get on sharing those maps early.
I know,
Yeah,
that darn social guy. Man, he should, retweet some stuff sometimes. And
No. As a whole, let's put it this way. We want to thank the WGLNA and all our social media people, Ninja, cough, because they do retweet our show. They do retweet
social media people. I mean, there's more than one.
Well, you do enough work for more than one, so I'm assuming we'll just give you that pat on the back there. He does work.
He does get paid for more than one. So, Luke, if you're out there, Brian, you know where to find me.
And could you fuck some of that over? I mean,
Well, let's be fair. To be honest, last season Tim and I had our salaries doubled by Luke, so we're pretty happy about that. As for the show, but to let you guys know, we don't get paid anything, so 2 times nothing. He didn't mind that at all. So, but again, we're a community show. We're doing this because we have passion for it. We want to get other people excited about the league and what's going on. And one thing to remember, guys, is fantasy is another way to invest. You learn the players a lot more in detail than if you just watch every week. It's interesting to see how they develop throughout the season. Last season, we got to see what was happening within a team when Wally and Oxmatha showed up to Eclipse. Mort, who was having a really strong season, suddenly got sat down. Dark God Zim got sat down, and Master Pupil got sat down. That led to some really interesting things, what was going to happen, how it was played. And in the end, Master Pupil came back. They did well. They made it to the finals. They were first runner-up. But we got to see what was going on. And then because of that, I think possibly because of some of those issues, Ox and Wally and Brett are gone now, and they switched over to Apex. Photo Finish came over. Guys, it gets interesting. It sounds like a soap opera. Sometimes it is. But the way to keep track of it is fantasy. And what are some of the prizes this year? Is it a 59 every week, Ninja? Do you know?
I believe it's 59 season long. Okay, I'm looking. It's 59 is for season long prizing for top 3.
Okay.
For weekly, it's 2,500 gold for first through third, 4 through 10 for 1,500, and 11 through 30th gets 500 gold.
2,500 gold. Interesting, because the prizing I'm giving out is 1,250.
Yep. So if you want to take on Tim, make sure you go to the Community WGLNA website, call him out, He'll put you in line because I believe he's got a line of people.
I do.
Tim and I has an unofficial bet. So right now I think he's in front of me because I'm at 330 right now. Tim, what are you at?
I'm way behind you. I'm at
Okay.
I'm at 461.
Okay. Our official bet is $1 Canadian, and I want to thank Ignigan Beaver for coming up with that as a good bet number, because he's Canadian.
I got American Dime around here. I can cover that.
But Ninja's in 75th. Do you post what your picks are prior to match day, Ninja?
He does.
Yeah, I still have my thread on the forums. I started back up the season, so
Great.
I usually update that either the night before or at least a few hours before.
So make
And
sure you're
then
checking
if
that
you
out.
if you just look on Twitter too, there's all kinds of people putting up their fantasy teams. If you just look at hashtag WGLNA, there's usually people tagging their fantasy lineups, things like that.
I mean, the
Absolutely.
WGLNA account could start like retweeting those. I don't know.
I do retweet some of them.
They do some
At
of
least
them.
I retweet my picks.
Yep. And Wally,
Rigged!
brand new. And if you're coming into the league for the first time, my eardrums just got blown out there, Tim.
Sorry.
And you're coming into the league for the first time, you can still win gold. Those prizes are for the people winning that week, not necessarily for the league, because there's all sorts of prizes. So if you come in and you're looking at who to follow, possibly who to copy, go check out Ninja's forum as well as his tweets. He's there. Sweatshop is another great guy to pick up. He's got some good picks out there as far as his picks goes. But the guy to look at, because I think he's in 3rd or 4th right now, is Wall Hacks. He's been pretty dead on with most of his picks. He was a bit off on Thursday, but he still was. I have to check. He's in the top 10. I know that for sure.
He's
as
second.
far as, yeah. And I don't know if Tries It does it, but I know Wally dropped it at least last week. He dropped what his picks would be. So
Wally
if
is
you're just
number
coming in,
2.
Yep. He's on 9,800 points, which seems like a lot when you're sitting at 330 or 335 where I am right now. But, we're still young in the season. There's still plenty of time to catch up to that. Or just play week by week because you never know what's going to happen with the WGLNA.
Nope.
But we want to thank Ninja Gumby for sitting in with us tonight. We literally grabbed him at the last moment. Thank you so much for stopping by tonight.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm always happy to be here. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. And guys, we're going to continue to give you the best shows possible. We've got these YouTubes that will keep going at least for a little bit for right now. And we'll let you know. The biggest thing is your community. Please comment. If you have questions for us, we'll answer your questions on air. If you comment in the right underneath down here. And Tim, as always, puts tons of links down there for you. Right, Tim?
Yes, I do.
I think he's here, but I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
you're actually pointing in the right direction for once.
Yes. But it's going to be an interesting night for fantasy on Tuesday. Tune in, guys. You're going to see some fun matches. I'm happy they swapped some of the matches around. I think it's going to be fun watching Valence versus Deja Vu. I think the last match of the evening presents a lot of questions. We're going to get to see how they're answered, and it's going to be an interesting evening to say the least. But tune in. Have any questions? You can tweet me at bted72. You can tweet Tim at what he'll have underneath right here, the Hamlets. I think he's got it
up
in his name tag too,
here,
right? Is it up?
At Thamlet,
Yeah, there.
Yeah, there you go. Up at Thamlet Gaming. And I actually went ahead and put Zach's there, even though I hardly ever
We just
use
hear that. Yeah. No, Zach does use it. But Zach, can people ask you questions? Would you mind if we threw your name on
yeah,
there?
sure. You can tag me at ninja_Gumby, or you can just tag me at WGLNA, and I'll probably see that faster, to be honest.
Absolutely. We want to thank Ninja for being tonight. Thank you guys for stopping by to our little YouTube video here. And Tim, thank you very much for being the technical wizard behind the curtain, except he's not. But doing our tech and all
I'm
that
a technical
stuff like
wizard behind the flag. How about that?
There we go. But all right, send it to Tim to wrap it up for us.
Well, as always, guys, thanks for watching. We wouldn't be here without you. And in the words of the great Christian Toma, arguably my favorite WGNA broadcaster ever, thanks for stopping by.